decided to reconstruct the personal story of a young immigrant through letters and other archival documents. Schoeman joins us now from our Sea Point studios to unpack the unknown Van Gogh. Chris, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Lebo.
Give us a brief synopsis of the unknown Van Gogh.
Yeah, Lebo, I first came across the name of Cornelis van Gogh about 5 years ago when I did a book on the Hollander volunteers during the Anglo-Boer War, you know, in terms of fighting with the Boers, in terms of ambulances, that kind of thing, that kind of contribution. And I really thought that, that this is something that I must look into. Nobody has ever done a biography on him. But basically, I covered his life within a family context in the towns in Brabant, in Holland, where he grew up. His father was a Protestant minister there. And of course, Vincent was his oldest brother, and then Theo was very close to Vincent. He was the other well-known brother. And Cornelis sort of disappeared, as I say, in the shadows of history. You know, he wasn't nearly as well-known as the other children. There were also 3 sisters. But anyway, he went to school in Breda, and after that he went to work in a factory to do to work on machines. He did an apprenticeship on steam machines, and he ended up in Lincoln in England. And from Lincoln, he went over to the gold fields. It was just after the discovery of gold in Johannesburg. And he worked there for about a year or so, or 2, and then he went over to the Netherlands-South African Railway, where obviously with the steam engines, there was a lot of scope for someone with his ability. And then he worked there for about 8-9 years. And when the Boer War broke out, around about say March in 1900, when the tide has already turned against the Boers, he joined the commando of Commandant Blucknote of Johannesburg, which was part of the Foreign Legion, consisting of foreign volunteers from France and Germany and Holland and Switzerland, some from all over Europe basically. Yeah. And he fought in the vicinity of Brandfort, under General de la Rey. And he ended up in a hospital in Brandfort, suffering from fever attacks. And in the end, he just took his life there, and that's where it ended.
Let's talk about his relationship with his brothers. What was that? What sense do you get of the relationship between Vincent, Theo, and Cornelis?
Yeah, the thing is with Cornelis and Vincent, there was quite an age gap between them. Vincent was 14 years older than Cornelis, and Theo was also about 11 years older. But in the early years when the family was together in places like Zundert and Helvoet and Etten, and especially in Newnan, Vincent stayed with the family in Etten, where he was very productive. And at that stage, he had a very good relationship with Cornelis. They used to go off to the forest to get some greens for Cornelis's rabbits, that kind of thing. They played together in the snow. Vincent taught him how to draw a map of the area, that kind of thing. But after that, once Cornelis has gone off on his own, especially to Lincoln, there was really not much of a relationship. Well, there wasn't really a relationship at all after that. Although Vincent, in letters to his parents and to Theo, he would refer to to Cornelis, you know, how is it going with him? What is he doing? Or I heard this or that about him. But towards the end, there was not much of a relationship.
Let's talk about the decision to go, you know, with archival documents in the book. Was it not easier to write a story? Was it easier to just go archival documents route?
What I did, you know, I spent a few weeks in Brabant, in Holland, where they grew up. And, you know, there I could find some things, and especially in the Van Gogh Museum where they keep all the letters. Now, the letters tell you a lot about the family. You know, Vincent would write to Theo, for instance, about what Cornelis was doing, and the mother would write to Theo what Cornelis was doing and that kind of thing. So from their letters you could learn a lot about what was happening in Cornelis's life. You know, he himself, you know, had some transcriptions from letters that he wrote, that Cornelis wrote to his mother, to Theo, you know, from Lincoln, from Johannesburg, where he was based, and then Pretoria later. And then in the archives in Pretoria, you know, the time of the Boer War, you know, after his death, all those records, you know, from the Red Cross were to be found there. So a lot was based on archival research.
What for you were the highlights of putting this book together?
I would say, you know, traveling in Holland, you know, following the footsteps of the Van Gogh family, so to speak. Like I said, you know, I could go to Zundert and Helvoort and Etten-Leur and Nuenen, which was the last place where Cor lived before he went to Helmond and Breda, you know, for his apprenticeship. And you know, not just to think, you know, that these are places where this famous man, Vincent van Gogh, where he dwelt, you know, at some stage, very strange man. But you know, learning about Vincent in the process was also a highlight. You know, you discover that he was actually a very good writer. He was somewhat of a philosopher. He was one who thought about life very deeply, you know, and that was quite good to look into and to discover those things about Vincent as well.
Yeah. All right. Chris, thank you so much for talking to us. Chris Schoeman is our author this week, speaking to us about his latest project titled The Unknown Van Gogh. There it is on your screen. Chris Schoeman joining us from our C Point Studios. Let's take a break. Stay with us.